I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better. I am better!
Played by Anthony Starr, Homelander is the main antagonist of The Boys, a cruel and powerful soup who treats people without superpowers as mere playthings. Not surprisingly, the original Homelander from the comics is no saint either. Today on Screen Rant, we break down Homelander's origins, both in the comics and the streaming series. Created by Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson, Homelander first appeared in The Boys #3 back in 2006. Homelander was just an infant when the alien ship that carried him crash landed on Earth. He then grew up into a patriotic, God-fearing adult American in just a few weeks. Or at least, that's how the official story goes. VOD American's PR team came up with that cover story to hide Homelander's true origin. In reality, Homelander was actually the most successful product of VOD American's genetic experiments with Compound V. Indeed, Homelander's real origin story in the comics is similar to that in the show. And while there are several differences, the show retains the essence and core themes of Homelander's comic book backstory. In the comics, Homelander's origin goes all the way back to Nazi Germany. Using Compound V, which was created by the Jewish scientist Jonah Vogelbaum, the Nazis created Stormfront, the world's first soup. When the Third Reich crumbled, Vogelbaum fled the US with both the serum and Stormfront, the only Compound V test subject that survived. Not unlike what happened during Operation Paperclip in real life. Vogel ended up working for VOD American. The company also used Stormfront, first as a covert agent, then as the leader of their first official soup team. Later, VOD American used Stormfront's DNA to create Homelander, and several other soups, in a secret silo in North Dakota. And there, VOD American raised Homelander for the next 18 years, subjecting him to various experiments to hone his extraordinary potential. As a result, Homelander surpassed even Stormfront in terms of raw power. At one point, VOD American scientists were so afraid of Homelander that they tied him to a nuclear bomb, in case he lost control. In fact, Black Noir was created by VOD American to be stronger than Homelander, specifically as a contingent plan should Homelander go rogue. And this isn't the only difference between Homelander's origin story in the comics and the show. While Homelander was originally a partial clone of Stormfront, in the show, VOD still has ties to Nazi Germany, with the female version of Stormfront having been created by the Nazi war criminal Frederick Vought. However, instead of being grown in a lab with Stormfront's DNA, Anthony Starr's Homelander was born in the spring of 1981. Though his mother is unknown, the boys confirm that Soldier Boy donated the sperm sample that eventually birthed Homelander. When he was born, Homelander's first act in this world was to use his heat vision to make his way out of his mother's womb, killing her and several doctors and nurses as he levitated from the bloody mess. And from there, Homelander was raised in Vought's laboratory. While Jonah Vogelbaum didn't work for the Nazis in the series, he actually raised Homelander, who had a brutal upbringing just like in the comics. At first, Vogelbaum treated him like a son, and even gave him a name, but this didn't stop Vogelbaum from eventually doing the job Vought hired him for. In order to test and develop his abilities, Homelander was subjected to various types of physical torture. Led by Vogelbaum, scientists exposed Homelander to extreme temperatures and conditions. They tried to drown him in boiling water, and even pitted him against Compound V enhanced VOD agents, all of which Homelander survived. This is pretty much also how Homelander was brought up in the comics. However, while VOD American had to strap a young Homelander to a nuclear bomb just to keep the soup in check, the show's version of VOD had a colder, more efficient solution. In the Amazon series, VOD hired the best psychologist that money can buy in order to prevent a young Homelander from escaping. This allowed Vought's scientists to program Homelander into always craving their love and affection, as they were the closest thing that the child had to an actual family. This is why, even as an adult, Homelander's only real weakness is his consistent need for approval from an authority or parental figure. And though Vought eventually lost control of Homelander, this programming continued to define him, even in his proudest moments. In addition, Vogelbaum raised Homelander with stories about Davy Crockett, Teddy Roosevelt, and other American heroes, teaching him about the concept of manifest destiny early on. Homelander was also forced to watch hours of videos and images designed to turn him into an all-American patriot, using images of Jesus Christ, the flag, and other popular nationalist iconography. Vought meticulously crafted Homelander's personality to become the perfect leader of the Seven. Despite his terrible early experiences, Homelander was forced to pretend that he had a happy childhood in front of the cameras, just like his namesake in the comics. Not not surprisingly, Vought inadvertently engineered their own downfall in Homelander, who grew up to become the corporate liability the Vought had always feared he would become. Mostly, Amazon's The Boys preserves this core element from Homelander's comic book arc. It also makes key changes to one of the soup's first defining moments, Season 1's Transatlantic Flight 37 episode. While Homelander had a somewhat redeemable arc in the comic book story that inspired this episode, Homelander was downright evil in the show's version of the airplane tragedy. In the Season 1 episode, The Female of the Species, Madeline Stillwell sent Homelander and Maeve to save a hijacked airplane over international waters. Stillwell's plan was to use the incident to push her agenda of getting soups into the military. However, in the process of killing the terrorists, Homelander accidentally destroyed the plane's controls. Despite Maeve pleading with Homelander to save as many people as they could, he forced her to give up and let everyone die, leaving no witnesses to how their incompetence doomed hundreds. Homelander then spun the story himself, arguing how the tragedy of Transatlantic Flight 37 wouldn't have happened if soups already served in the military. In contrast, Homelander wanted to take a completely different route in the comics. But first, a trigger warning to our viewers. The next part of this video discusses the 9/11 terrorist attacks on New York in 2001. Indeed, instead of the regular commercial flight, the comic saw the soups trying to save one of the hijacked airplanes during 9/11. And it wasn't just Homelander and Maeve, but everyone in the Seven who fumbled the rescue. However, rather than simply giving up, Homelander actually tried saving the plane in the comic book, though he ended up just tearing off the back of the plane and sending its passengers to their deaths. It's notable how Homelander once tried to do the right thing. That said, there's also undeniable evidence that the original Homelander is just as evil as the show's sociopathic despot. On that note, another trigger warning is warranted. The next part of this video discusses rape and sexual violence. Just like his counterpart in the series, Homelander also raped Becca in the comics. While Becca appeared in the show, the comics saw her dying while giving birth to Homelander's son. And though Ryan survived as a key character in the series, Becca's tragic backstory is the same. She was raped by Homelander, who in the process earned a mortal enemy in William Butcher. Moreover, while it was the Deep who forced Starlight to perform oral sex on him in the show, in the comics, Starlight was instead raped by Homelander. In fact, the original Homelander forced Starlight to perform oral sex not just on him, but on A-Train and Black Noir as well. And this was the incident that made it clear to comic book readers that Homelander was completely irredeemable. Cleverly, the show dodged controversy by omitting this detail from the comics, and instead using Transatlantic Flight 37 to show Homelander's reprehensible nature. Beyond his origin story, another key change in the show is how Homelander functions as the only main antagonist, a role that he shares with Black Noir in the comics. Ultimately, these changes not only help differentiate Anthony Starr's Homelander from his comic book counterpart, they also made him a better vehicle for the story's underlying themes. Combined with how the show expanded on Homelander's childhood upbringing and programming, Amazon's The Boys turned a simple villain into an actually sympathetic character. Frank commentary on the nature of fascism in the modern world. Which do you think had a better origin story for Homelander, the show or the comics? Thank you for watching Screen Rant, and stay tuned for more streaming news.